Hey y'all, it's your friendly neighborhood therapist, and I just want to update y'all about a situation that I spoke on the other day because there has been some breaking news to the investigation. So, investigators have learned that frat members lied about the nature of Caleb Wilson's death. Wilson was reportedly punched in the chest while at an abandoned warehouse during a frat ritual, which caused him to collapse and seize. Now, I didn't even need to know this to know that this was about what happened. I don't understand anybody who, especially anybody who is in D9. Y'all knew better. I understand going the safe route. Let's wait. We got to wait for the investigation. We got to wait and see what comes out of it. I get that. But we wasn't stupid either. Y'all wasn't at no park and we knew that. You can prove if you've been to a park. Most public parks have cameras or somebody would have saw you outside. And then him just collapsing while standing in line never made sense. So most of us knew, which is why myself, I don't know about anybody else, but I know I was going to speak out on it. I didn't need to wait. I didn't need to wait. Once they said it was a hazing incident, a likely a hazing incident, I believed it. hmm And apparently somebody came forward. Somebody had a conscience and came forward. I don't think the gentlemen involved in this understood what they just got themselves into because Louisiana has some of the strictest hazing laws due to a hazing incident years back. I forget the gentleman's name who was unalive, but his parents fought for very harsh hazing laws in the state of Louisiana. So anybody involved in this could easily be facing 25 to life. Was that worth it? What about this show, Brotherhood? What about this exemplified any of y'all principles? And this is not an indictment on just Omega Psi Phi fraternity either. As I said, nobody in the D9 is innocent of hazing. We are non hazing organizations, and hazing was banned in the 90s, but this still happened, and things still happen, and people don't want to talk about it. And when things like this get blasted on the headlines, then it becomes, oh, that shouldn't have happened, but you know exactly why it did. Because when things are happening underground, nobody has the balls to say anything. They just let it ride. Now, this chapter will no longer be there at Southern. That is the likely thing that will happen for the chapter. And those involved will probably be arrested and put in prison. And none of that exemplifies any of the things that any of the orgs stand for. But you know who I blame more than anything? And they're not trying to shift accountability from the people who actually did this. But I blame the elders in the orgs. I blame elder members of all the organizations because I have heard elder members of every one of the Divine Nine say that stupid shit about being made versus being paper. You make it seem like a badge of honor to have your ass beat. It's a badge of honor to go through trauma together and form a trauma bond because that ain't brotherhood or sisterhood, y'all. That's trauma bonds. You form no healthier and tighter of a bond by getting your ass beat than you do doing other things. But okay. But y'all gonna keep with that, and things like this will keep happening. We will keep losing the potential of our community because y'all want to keep up with bullshit that don't matter. Because at the end of the day, the only thing required of me to be a part of one of these orgs is to have the correct GPA, to be a person of good character, to help in my community, and to pay the damn money. Let's be real. Let's be real. Yes, we choose the organization that seems to fit us best. We choose the org that feels like it speaks to who we are. But none of our orgs speak to anything like this, yet we keep perpetuating the shit constantly, constantly. But we want to say that we ain't about this anymore, right? Okay. Well, I wonder how a lot of those people who've been made would feel if this was their son. He was being made and he just happened to die. But he was going through the process, right? Hmm. Now, Omega Sci Fi has put out a statement stating that they stand with the family. There's nothing else for them to say. I've heard people say they need to say something else. There's nothing else for them to say. They stand with the family. They are cooperating with the investigation. That's it. That's all that needs to be said, honestly. It's not them that needs to speak on this. It's members and all the rest of us that are parts of other orgs. We need to be the ones continuing to speak on this because it was uncalled for. And at this point, it's getting real old. It's getting real tiresome. A little bit more information on exactly what happened. They were apparently at this abandoned warehouse going through a part of this ritual, and they were getting punched dead center in the chest. They punched this young man so hard in his chest that it caused his heart to go out of sync and caused him to have a seizure. Tell me how that was called for. Tell me how that builds a stronger bond for the gentlemen who go through it, or the women, because let's be clear, sororities do shit too. Tell me how it builds a bigger bond, a better bond, a stronger bond. You want to know what it builds? It builds a trauma bond because that is trauma. That is abuse. That is not okay in any sense of the word. In any other scheme of things, you would never allow anybody to punch you square in your chest like that. But here it's okay. And here it's building a bond. This is not a show of a brotherhood or a sisterhood. This is a show of ego and superiority and wanting to inflict on others what was inflicted on you to say that they were made because somehow that is better. Somehow that makes you better. No, not when it comes to somebody's son being buried or daughter. We really got to get together. We really got to get it together. Like, really. Again, I will say to all of my beautiful D9 members, don't get mad at another person, another GDI, who get in comments calling us a gang when you fucking acting like one. Okay? And here's what, don't try to separate this out like that was that chapter. If you are one at all times, you are one at all times. You don't get to not be one because one acts up. They are still apart. So you have to take responsibility for this as leaders, even though it's not your chapter. Doesn't matter. Them your brothers. And in the case of when this happens in sororities, them your sisters. Doesn't matter. We all are responsible for one another. I have more of a collectivist mindset in that way. We're all responsible for one another. That's why I'm so adamant about advocating for this young man. Because regardless of my membership, I'm a black woman and I'm a mother first. And I don't think anybody should have to bury their child because they wanted to be a part of an organization that is supposed to be doing all the right things. Anyway, y'all have a beautiful, wonderful rest of the evening, and I will holler at y'all later.